Hello everyone. In this video lecture, I, Sneha, will be briefly discussing about basic concepts of cybercrime. So in this, we'll be covering about the history and evolution of cybercrime and few notable internet and cybercrime issues. So first, let us start with the history and evolution of cybercrime. So before entering into the history, we should definitely know the definition of cybercrime. So cybercrime is also known as computer crimes. It involves illegal activities that are conducted through the internet or other computer networks. This includes a wide range of offenses like hijacking, cyber hacking, identity theft, cyber terrorism, online frauds, and distribution of child pornography, etc. So, based upon the definition, we'll move forward. Firstly, it is It is in the early 1960s. So the inception of cybercrime coincided with the advent of computers. Early computer crimes were largely focused on or limited to physical theft or of hardware and sabotage. In 1970s, with the development of ARPANET, the first network security which began a network security breach began to occur. In this era, cases like phone phreaking, etc., were the most prominent cyber attacks. Next is in the 1980s, personal computers became more widespread, so did the opportunity of cybercrime too. The first known computer virus, the Elk cloner virus, appeared in 1982, which targeted Apple II system operating systems. And then comes 1988 Morris worm, and so on. So in 19 and then comes 1990s, the era of 1990s, which could be termed as the rise of the internet and advanced cybercrime era. In this era, the internet's commercialization brought a very surge in cybercrime opportunities. New forms of cybercrimes like hacking, phishing, um, etc., were able to be seen. Next stage was during the early 2000s, proliferation and sophistication era. So the dot-coms, the booms, the increased internet accessibility and subsequent use of internet led to the increased and developed cybercrime rates. The various forms of cybercrime during this era included ransomware attacks and many forms of virus attacks too. Next, during the mid 2000s to 2010s, that is the escalation and internalization era, there seemed an underground economy which started to develop around cybercrimes, which included the markets for stolen data and hacking tools. The nations and the nationwide countries began using cyber attacks as a tool of espionage and cyber warfare during this era. And next is the final one, which is the recent trends and future directions of cybercrime, which starts during the 2010s, which is continuing till date. So this wherein in this era, the attacks are aimed at long-term targeting attacks, which are often sponsored by the nation states. The rise of interconnected devices during this era has created new vulnerabilities, which can otherwise called as Internet of Things. Another major important aspect under this era is artificial intelligence and machine learning. Both these tools for cyber are used for cyber defenses and new vectors for attacks. Next, let us move on to the next subtopic under the aspect of cybercrime. These are internet and internet related cybercrime issues. Under this, we are going to see three various types of internet issues. First is viruses, next is worms, and the final one will be Trojan. Trojan. So first, let us start with virus. So a computer virus is typically a type of malicious software or otherwise called as a malware that when executed or when induced in a system replicates itself by inserting the copies of itself into another computer programs or files or the boot sector of the hard drive. The viruses can cause a variety of problems which could include corrupting or destroying the data, degrading the system performance, stealing personal information, and providing unauthorized access to the attackers. So the below mentioned are the types of computer viruses, which are file infector virus, boot sector viruses, macrovirus, polymorphic virus, metamorphic viruses. Each virus has its own type and differentiation of functionality. And below mentioned are few of the notable virus attacks. Morris worm virus attack, I love you virus attack, and MyDoom virus attack were the most prevalent virus attacks during the early stages of the infection of viruses. So how does the spread of virus actually works? So basically, it can spread through networks. It can spread through removable devices like pen drives, hardwares, USB cords, or it can also be spread through malicious websites. And what are the major impacts of viruses? To be to be noted, the impacts are like they cost a great financial loss. They are against the privacy, breaching the security of a personal person. They are also contributing to the data loss and many more impacts. And what can be done to prevent and protect a system or an individual from virus attacks? Use of antivirus softwares, building developed and enhanced firewalls, monitoring and proper software updates, and user education about virus attacks could be the preventive and protective measures against virus attacks. So, how can the spread of virus or the infection of virus can be detected? It can be done through scanning, behavioral and behavioral analysis of the system, and we can also get the professionals' help in the detection of virus in any particular system. Next topic is worms. So worms are a type of malicious software again that can self-replicate themselves and spread independently across the computers and networks without the intervention of the user. But whereas virus needs intervention of the user, it needs intervention of the user. So the difference between from virus and worm is like, unlike viruses, worms do not need to be attached themselves to any existing program or file or software, but they can exploit the vulnerabilities in your operating systems or the applications that you are using to enter into your system, and they can self-replicate themselves. So how does worms attract your system, or how does a worm enter into a system? It can be through email attachments, it can be through network exploitations, it can be through file sharing networks, or it can be through any kind of destructive payloads. Notable worm incidents are CodeRed, SQL Slammer, Configure, exploited weaknesses in Windows operating systems, Stuxnet, etc. Next is the impacts of worms. There are economic impacts which will be caused as a result of worm attack. The operation of the computer or the system will get disrupted. There will be data breaches and also data thefts. and it can corrupt the entire system too. What can be done to prevent it? We can obviously use firewalls. We can update security softwares, or we can provide network segmentations, and also user education and awareness about worm attacks, and the preventive mitigations against this is also very, very important. And finally, Trojan. A Trojan horse or a Trojan is commonly referred to as a type of malicious software that actually misleads any user about its true identity. Unlike viruses and worms, Trojans do not replicate themselves, but Trojans are designed to perform a variety of other malicious actions, which often gives the attackers unauthorized access to the victim's system. The types of Trojans are mentioned below: backdoor Trojans, downloader Trojans, imposter Trojans, ransomware Trojans, banking Trojans, and etc. Each kind of Trojan has its own each unique type of function. Any any one Trojan and any of this Trojan can be induced into a system to what to say to complete the task that the attacker wants to do. The working mechanism of Trojan infection or Trojan attack is will mostly be through email attachments, malicious websites, software downloading, and also social engineering. The major impacts of Trojan attack on cybersecurity is data theft and system compromisation, network security, and a lot of economic costs. The notable Trojan incidents are Zeus Trojan attack, Emotet, remote access tools, or RAT is also a famous Trojan attack. Sorry. So I hope the concept of cybercrime and the three most important malicious or malware attack that a computer can undergo, that is virus attack, worm attack, and Trojan attack, has been clarified. So with this, I conclude my presentation. Thank you all.